Hi, my name is Daniel Dal Molin, and I'm a financial planner here with Global Financial Consultants in Singapore. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the Trump trade. You might have read a lot about it. You've heard it on the news where people are discussing effects of financial markets since the election of Donald Trump. What does the Trump trade mean? The Trump trade, according to current events, is the positive outcome and positive euphoria settling over global and mostly US equity and bond markets at the moment since the election of Donald Trump. Stock and bond markets were generally delighted with the idea that President-elect Trump will come to power and cut taxes and cut regulation. They're the two main areas. What areas of the Trump trade are positive? Donald Trump is expected to spend the first period of his term after inauguration on the 20th of January on the first of the main topics that he's been discussing for the last year and his platform for re-election. So number one was tax cut for companies. He wants to cut taxes for companies. And he's talking especially about reducing tax down to 15% for US companies that are manufacturing onshore. Deregulation. It's become a big theme of the Trump administration in the first term, and again this term, that he wants to deregulate energy markets and digital markets to finance markets. He promised also to try and end the wars in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. What are the areas that might be negative about President Trump's election? One is protectionism. Trump has promised to raise import taxes for all goods from all countries going into America another 20%. And he has promised to raise import taxes on Chinese goods by 60%. Now, these effects will have a concern with inflation and also might affect the economies of those countries outside of America that rely on exports. Number one of those is China. Number two, deportation. His plan is to deport a number of illegal migrants out of the US. But you have to remember, 50% of all people working on farms in the US have no legal status. What will happen to farming in the US and other industries like that if all the illegal people are deported? What should we look at as investors? Number one, the creation of this department called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, set up to be run by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. These two guys have set up a department, or are going to be mandated to set up an department that will cut US government spending by $2 trillion between the 20th of January 2025 and the 4th of July 2026. Can they do it? We don't know. Even if they cut $1 trillion out of the US budget, I'm sure there is a lot of areas for cuts. There's a lot of inefficiencies. This would make the bond markets happy because that would mean that together with corporate tax cuts, the US government is cutting their expenditure, which is a good sign. The other area that follows on from that is in the first term, President Trump was talking about balancing the budget, but he got caught up because of COVID. So some type of repair work towards the US government budget and starting to discuss government debt, I think would be great. One of the heads of Cantor Fitzgerald are due to be appointed as Treasury Secretary. That guy understands the bond market, and the bond market is very important. What should we look at as investors? Negative. All these changes happening in a short period of time will create instability and I think turbulence in the financial markets. It's not one way up. I think there's bumps along the road as areas get changed, plans get changed, and things get moved along. Especially in the short term, I think there'll be turbulence, but for the betterment of the US economy, I think the long-term future is bright with some of these changes. That's all on the Trump trade. Please remember, Donald Trump does not get elected until the 20th of January 2025, so we got a long way to go before the inauguration. Things can happen. Everything's working on rumors. All those people that he's chosen to run government departments as cabinet ministers still need to be approved by the Senate. There's a long way to go. Just be careful out there. Thank you.